If you're thinking about moving to Austin, Texas, you might need to decide if you're an East Austin or a West Austin person. Now, on this channel, I talk a lot about the differences between North Austin and South Austin, but someone actually left a comment on one of our videos recently and they were like, man, you're always talking about North versus South, but the real rivalry in Austin is East versus West. And you know what? I agree. I mean, at the end of the day, East and West Austin are completely different worlds. Like, to me, they are almost literally night and day. And in this video, we're gonna be breaking down the lifestyle, the vibes, the housing, the culture of East and West Austin. And by the end of this video, you're gonna know which side fits you best. But here's the thing, most people who are moving here choose East or West Austin based on the wrong reasons if they don't know a lot about the city. And once you see the real difference, you might change your mind about where you belong. Let's get into it. All right, so one of the first things I wanted to do is very quickly, I wanna jump into my map here, and I just wanna give you a little bit of the lay of the land. So like when I say East Austin versus West Austin, what exactly am I talking about here? All right, so I got my map pulled up and let me get my trusty little drawing tool here. Let's go with pink today. Okay, so this is a huge map of like everything surrounding Austin. And I would say kind of anything that falls within this pink kind of circle here, using circle in air quotes, this would be considered the greater Austin area. Now for today's video, we're really just gonna be talking about East versus West Austin as it pertains to the city of Austin. All right, so if you're trying to decide East versus West, there are really just a couple of boundary lines, kind of a couple of main roads that you're gonna need to know about. And let's jump into those. Okay, so the first road is gonna be probably Austin's busiest kind of north-south thoroughfare, and that's gonna be Interstate 35. We lovingly refer to it here in Austin as I-35. And I always say, I think I-35 was created by Satan himself. And the only reason I say that is because it feels like no matter what time of day you're driving on I-35, there's going to be traffic somehow, okay? But hold that thought. Another road that you're really gonna need to know about as it pertains to East versus West Austin, or it's called Loop 1, but we here in Austin, we just refer to it as MOPAC. So M-O-P-A-C, that's short for Missouri Pacific. So these are two north-south thoroughfares in Austin that really provide kind of the boundary lines between East and West Austin. And here's what I mean. So for Austinites, anything east of I-35 is gonna be considered East Austin. I'll try to draw a little E there, okay? Now, anything west of MOPAC is going to be considered West Austin. So east of I-35, we got East Austin. West of MOPAC, you've got West Austin. And anything in the middle here, so you know you got downtown, Hyde Park, Zilker, Barton Springs, like Allendale, Rosedale, like all sorts of like Travis Heights, really popular North and South Austin neighborhoods. That's going to be considered Central Austin. Now, one additional piece of geography that you need to know about Austin is flowing out of Lake Travis is the Colorado River here. You can see I'm drawing it in red. Over here somewhere it becomes Lake Austin, then it becomes Town Lake right over here, and then it continues being the Colorado River as it flows east out of Austin all the way out to Bastrop. Now, anything north of the Colorado River, or Town Lake, as it were, is gonna be North Austin, and anything south of Town Lake is gonna be considered South Austin. So in this video, we're really not gonna be talking a lot about the differences between North and South Austin. There definitely are differences, but really Northeast Austin versus Southeast Austin versus Northwest Austin versus Southwest Austin, there really isn't much of a discernible difference that we're gonna talk about in this video. We're really just talking about East versus West. So now that you kind of have a lay of the land, you have a basic understanding of East versus West Austin, let's go ahead, let's get down and dirty, let's get in there. The first place we're gonna hit is East Austin.
Let's hear it for Yuri Boyka!
All right, so in my opinion, in East Austin, you've kind of got three very distinctly different worlds, all right? And I guess there is some overlap, so maybe it's not as distinct as I thought. So first, you've got kind of where we're at right now. So right now, we're on East 6th Street, okay? And you can see all around me, it's like super dense, kind of condo, downtown living. You've got retail everywhere. There's coffee shops, bars, restaurants, cafes, like all over the place. It's like super walkable, very vibrant, hip. There's a ton going on. Secondly, you've got kind of old East Austin, which is a little bit more residential. It's still pretty gritty. It's very historic, and it's a place where a lot of people want to be. It's also pretty hip, but you're not going to see kind of this big, dense urban infill like here. And then third, you've got what I would call super residential East Austin, all right? And those are areas like Mueller, Windsor Park, University Hills, all around Springdale, maybe even down a little bit south of here in a neighborhood called the Holly Street neighborhood. But those are kind of like the three kind of categories of areas that you're gonna have in East Austin. And in a way, you know, in East Austin, it's kind of old meets new Austin. And something that a lot of people love about this area is that a lot of parts of East Austin are super walkable. And I talk about this all the time, but I really think there are two different types of walkable. There's type A and type B walkable, all right? So type A walkable is, you know, literally you can walk out your door and you can walk to coffee shops and bars and restaurants and things like that we've been talking about. And type B walkable is like, you can't walk to anything that you want to go to, but it is safe. You know, there are sidewalks, parks, things like that. Like you can walk around in your neighborhood. And I would definitely say East Austin, most parts of East Austin are definitely type A walkable. And there are even a lot of parts of Austin that are also type B walkable. But I'll be honest, like there are definitely parts of East Austin that are not type B walkable. So you might not just want to walk around at night and you might not feel so safe, but a lot of it you totally will. Now, if you're moving to Austin, Texas, and you are considering the east side, it's kind of cool because there's kind of something for everybody over here, almost. And we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Now, a couple neighborhoods that are going to come up in your search are definitely going to be Windsor Park and University Hills. Those are kind of like northeast Austin, and those are really popular, very family-friendly neighborhoods where you can get a decent sized house on a decent sized lot for a pretty decent price. And those are going to be kind of 60s, 70s builds. You've also got Mueller, which is kind of like the only real master plan community in Austin, Texas, especially in central Austin, Texas. And so that's going to be like mid 2000s builds. And like literally they're still building brand new homes over there. You've got tons of parks, pools. Like it really reminds me of something straight out of the Truman Show. A lot of people who a lot of people who live there end up really, really loving it. And I honestly think Mueller is kind of a cult. And then you've got the Holly Street neighborhood, which is just south of here. So it's just north of the river. So just north of Town Lake and south of Cesar Chavez. And over there, you're going to have a lot of like really old historic kind of bungalows and some bigger new construction, but people love living down there because you're super walkable to a lot of the stuff all up and down Cesar Chavez. You're walkable to things on Holly Street. So again, cafes, coffee shops, bars. You see the theme here. All right. On the east side, very vibrant, very hip, access to a lot of stuff that a lot of younger people want to have access to. Now, and kind of an honorable mention over here on the east side is actually a southeastern suburb of Austin called Del Valley. And in Del Valley, it's really convenient to the airport. So it's just a hop, skip, and a jump away from the airport. It's kind of like a newer, like emerging area. And so there's definitely some kind of new construction out there. And relative to central Austin, the prices are out of this world. All right, so now let's talk about some pros and cons of the east side. All right, so one of the pros obviously is that you've got walkability, and we're talking type A walkability as well as a lot of type B walkability. I mean, like in this area, this neighborhood that we're in right now, big, open, wide streets, great for walking. We've been seeing people walk around all over the place. And in addition to that, you've also got a super thriving, hip, trendy food scene. So like, honestly, I don't care what type of food you like. If you like any type of food, you're gonna find some of the best versions of that food right here in East Austin. So literally my favorite Italian restaurant and probably my favorite Italian restaurant ever is called Il Bruto. It's right over where we just were on East 6th. One of my very favorite pizza places is East Side Pies right down the street. One of my favorite coffee shops is Figure 8 Coffee Purveyors. It's like I could throw a baseball like 4 times and I'd probably hit it from here. All right. So yeah, you will not lack food options or coffee options, bakery options, like whatsoever. And then another pro that I would definitely mention is there's no two ways about it. East Austin is significantly more affordable than West Austin, which we're going to talk about here in just a little bit. Now, a couple cons that we have to mention about East Austin. The first one I would definitely say is over here, there are definitely some tensions as it relates to gentrification. Now, I'm not going to get into that a ton. If you want to look it up, definitely Google it. But for sure, over the last several years, as East Austin has become so much more popular, and it's become popular because of a lot of the reasons that we've talked about today. Like, it's awesome. There's a lot to do over here. There's a lot of opportunity. It's so much more affordable. So that's like, as Austin has grown, a lot of people have kind of surged into the east side. And what that's done is it's pushed out a lot of the original residents of the east side. And a lot of those people are Black, Hispanic, just like people who have been living here for generations. A lot of them can no longer afford it. And so there's just been a lot of tension around a lot of those residents being pushed out because of higher property taxes, because of higher home values and things like that. So there's definitely a little bit of that, not even a little bit, a lot of bit of that tension over here. Another con that I would mention about East Austin is over here compared to West Austin, the lot size is like literally the size of your yard overall on average is going to be a lot smaller compared to West Austin. Something else I would definitely want to mention is over here, especially if you've got a family or you're planning on having a family and you have little kids, the schools over here can be super, super inconsistent. Like, there are some good schools over here, but a lot of them are honestly pretty rough. And a lot of people over here end up sending their kids to private school, or they get a school transfer somewhere like across town. So if East Austin is attracted to you and you want to make sure that your kid has the best shot at going to the best school, you're definitely going to want to get a hold of us. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email so that we can sit down with you and really point you in the right direction. And the last con I would say about East Austin is it's just overall not as pretty as West Austin. Now, I think there are a lot of pretty things about certain parts of East Austin. Again, where we're at right now, like, it's beautiful. You got these crepe myrtles, these oak trees, like, man, like a lot of these people take really good care of their stuff, but a lot of parts of East Austin are pretty gritty. They're just kind of run down, abandoned, and it's just a bit more rough around the edges. And it can be just hard to see sometimes. And then also, just the terrain. Like in West Austin, it's like the gateway to the hill country. You know, we're gonna get into West Austin here in just a minute, but here in East Austin, it's generally more flat. There is some variation depending on what part of East Austin you're in, but in general, the terrain is just not as exciting. Now, lastly for East Austin, let's talk a little bit about price ranges here. So just to get in like super entry level for a single family home, I'm not talking about the condos, that's kind of like a different video, all right? But for a single family home with your own yard, you're really not gonna be able to get into East Austin under about $550,000. Honestly, you're probably gonna wanna plan on spending at least $600,000 to $650,000. And that's probably gonna be a home for a home that needs a decent amount of work. Now, if you want to move into this area and you're like, I want a move-in ready home that's already been renovated, it looks really great, 3 or 4 bedrooms, 2 to 3 bathrooms, and you're like, you can move in day one and be super proud of it, you're probably going to want to plan on spending around $750,000 to $800,000 at least. But then there are also, like, peppered all over East Austin are these big luxury new builds that are really great quality, and for those you're easily going to be spending $1 million up to 1.5. I've even seen up to $2 million. So I know that's a very wide range, but on the very low end we're looking at about $500,000 to $550,000, and really on the very high end we're looking at about $1 million to $1.5 million.
In the blue corner, the big bad mind killer, our undisputed throne, the underground champion, Igor Kazimi!
All right, now it's time to drop you down into West Austin. So we're gonna do a little bit of a deep dive here. Okay, so we decided to drive up in this neighborhood called Terrytown. Okay, now Terrytown is definitely one of the most popular, prestigious kind of premier neighborhoods in West Austin. And so as you can see kind of all around me here, in West Austin and Terrytown more specifically, you're gonna get a lot more kind of polished, luxury, much more upscale construction. Now, that's not universally true. right? I mean, you can still find kind of bungalows. There are even a couple little rough sections of West Austin, but in general, like, I think you can tell that this is absolutely night and day different from East Austin. Am I right, Aaron?
Absolutely.
Yes. So being in Terrytown, we're still in like pretty near central West Austin. And so I know that you've got like these great big luxury estate homes out here, but as you go even a little bit farther west, you're gonna get much more expansive, much larger lots, even some acreage, and you're definitely gonna have a lot more kind of varied terrain, okay? So like I said earlier in the video, West Austin is kind of like your entrance. It's the gateway into the Texas Hill Country. Now, a couple of the neighborhoods that you're definitely gonna see as you're researching West Austin, in addition to Terrytown, another one of the most popular neighborhoods is called Westlake Hills. And that's just a little bit west of here on the other side of Mopac or Loop 1. And that is where you're gonna find by far the most expensive real estate in all of Austin. Again, very prestigious, a very aspirational area and neighborhood. Now, if you're living in Terrytown, your kids are gonna be zoned to Austin ISD. You've got Cassis Elementary right down the road, which a lot of people say is the best elementary school in Austin ISD. The middle school is O. Henry Middle School. That's actually where my kids go to school. And then the high school is Austin High School. That's actually where my son just started going. And so really a good school system here. If the schools that your kids are gonna go through if you're living in Terrytown. But then in Westlake, you're actually gonna be zoned to a school district called Eanes ISD. And according to a lot of lists out there, they say Eanes ISD, the #1 school district in all of Texas. Now, a few other neighborhoods that you're gonna encounter are Northwest Hills. We actually did a video recently where we highlighted, part of the video was highlighting Northwest Hills. So that's kind of like northwest Austin, just off of Mopac, above 45th Street. Really great neighborhood, big lots, big houses. Another neighborhood is called Steiner Ranch, and that's a little bit further west from where we're at right now. It's a big master plan community, you know, multiple pools, parks, trails, things like that. Again, common theme out here, varied terrain, big houses, big lots. Now, another area, it's not exactly a neighborhood, but it's its own suburb that's really popular in West Austin is called Lakeway. We've actually done a full vlog tour of Lakeway recently. You can check that out here if you haven't seen it. And Lakeway's awesome for people who love golf. They love being outdoors. You want to be right next to the lake. You want kind of suburban living. You kind of want to be off the beaten path. You want to have pretty close access to Austin, but not be right in the middle of all the hustle and bustle and things like that. But again, a very sought after, very aspirational suburb in its own right. I mean, honestly, there's just too many great neighborhoods to list that are in West Austin. So if you're seeing what we're showing you of West Austin and you're super interested, definitely give our team a shout. They would love to sit down with you, hear about a couple things that you love, a couple things that you hate, because when you're moving here, you're buying a home, it's a huge investment, and we wanna make sure you land in the right place. All right, now let's talk about a couple pros and cons of West Austin, because there are definitely some great things and there's a little bit of a dark side, okay? So definitely one of the pros is gonna be the schools. I mean, come on. For the most part, if you're living in West Austin and you're in Austin ISD, you're gonna be zoned to pretty darn awesome schools. And if you're not in Austin ISD, you're gonna be in Lake Travis ISD, which is the #2 school district in all of Central Texas. And if you're not zoned to Lake Travis ISD, you're gonna be zoned to Eanes ISD, which is by far the #1 school district in all of Central Texas. So if you're living in West Austin and you have kids, there's really no two ways about it. They are going to go to awesome schools. I would say another pro of West Austin, Texas is it's just beautiful. I mean, Aaron, look, all around us.
Yeah.
Like it's super hilly, it's green, there's trees everywhere. It's like for the most part, even the architecture, the construction, it's really thoughtfully done. And it is just beautiful. And people over here they really care about what things look like. And every time I walk through here, I'm really inspired. And another pro that I don't really hear talked about that much, especially when you contrast it with East Austin, is in West Austin, you have a lot of really easy access to the lake. So there's Town Lake, Lake Austin, the Colorado River. Like you are just right here, right on the other side of these houses. Is Lake Austin. And so there's lots of marinas over here, things like that. And so a lot of people move over here who, again, want really great schools, but they also love being outdoors and they really want to have easy access to that lake life. Now let's talk about a couple things that I hate about West Austin. I'm just kidding. It's not that I hate them. these are just some downsides of West Austin. So the first thing is, I would say it just doesn't have the character and that grittiness of East Austin. So I feel like a lot of the quirkiness of Austin, like what it means to be an Austinite. Like Austin, our motto is keep Austin weird. And like, if you just parachuted into this neighborhood from outer space or whatever, like, I don't think that you would know our town's motto is keep Austin weird. Like, West Austin is not weird, okay? So I could definitely see a situation where someone moves into the Austin, they're really excited to be up in Austin, close to everything Austin has to offer, and then you're in West Austin and it just feels like a super fancy luxury suburb. Another downside of West Austin is this doesn't necessarily apply to Terrytown, but if you're in Westlake, Lakeway, way out, Steiner Ranch, your commute times are going to be way worse into downtown Austin than they would be if you lived in East Austin. Like, there's just no two ways about it. So unless you're living in Terrytown and you want to live in Austin, you're going to need to love to be in the car a lot. And the last negative I would say about West Austin are the price points. So on that note, let's talk a little bit about pricing in West Austin. So I would say you should not even think about wanting to live in West Austin unless you can plan on spending at least $1 million. At least $1 million. And in neighborhoods like Westlake and Terrytown, you might be able to get into these neighborhoods for $1 million, but you're probably going to either be buying a tear down house or a house that needs to be fully gut renovated. So for a lot of these neighborhoods, you need to plan on spending about $1.5 to $2 million. But honestly, in areas like Rollingwood and Westlake, you could easily spend, $3 to $10 million on a home if you want it to be move-in ready, 4, 5, 6 bedroom houses. But I've even seen houses in Lakeway and off of Lake Austin where it's the most expensive real estate in Austin. You could also spend $20 to $30 million for a home. And I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money. All right, so we've been driving around West Austin so much. Aaron and I over there, we had to stop and get some gas over here in West Austin. All right, so what we wanted to do is we wanted to take a second and just give you kind of a cheat sheet. All right, so this is kind of a Cliff Notes version of kind of East Austin versus West Austin under a few different categories, if that makes sense. So let's talk about lifestyle. East Austin is young, trendy, urban. West Austin is established, probably a little bit more family friendly, maybe a little bit more outdoorsy and kind of bougie. Now let's talk about commutes. So East Austin is going to be a little bit more commuter friendly. You're going to have a lot easier access to downtown. And really, no matter what neighborhood you live in East Austin, you're going to be pretty close to the middle of town. Now in West Austin, more often than not, you're gonna face tougher traffic, but your drive is gonna be a lot more beautiful. Now on the topic of schools, in East Austin, it's gonna be a bit more mixed in terms of quality, and in West Austin, you can't really go wrong. Now, as far as the homes in East Austin, the architecture, you're gonna get a mix of kind of modern new builds and really old kind of bungalows. And in West Austin, you're gonna get still a mix of newer and older construction, but you're gonna get a larger concentration of larger estate homes. And in terms of the vibes, East Austin overall is a bit more gritty and West Austin is quite a bit more polished. And in terms of affordability, East Austin is affordable, West Austin is not. Aaron, do you know anybody who's gone to West Austin for the affordable home prices?
Not a single one.
Not a single person out there. I know a ton of people who've gone to West Austin and they bite the bullet and they stomach the prices just because it's such a great place to be, but you're not gonna go there for the cheap homes. All right, so this is a very hot take. I think East Austin is gonna be for you if you want nightlife, art, kind of a vibrant hipster scene, and you don't mind living in a home with a smaller lot in a kind of gentrified or gentrifying area. And I think West Austin is going to be for you if you want really amazing schools, you want space, luxury, you want to live that bougie lifestyle, and kind of you want to feel like you're in Austin, but you're in kind of a luxury suburb of Austin. And you want to be close to water, and you want to be right up in the hills with the great views. Do you feel like that's pretty accurate, Aaron?
It's pretty accurate.
Good. That was the correct answer. Because it is. So honestly, a lot of people think that East versus West Austin comes down to budget and schools, and that's it. But that's not true at all. Like, I know a ton of very wealthy people who have moved into East Austin, and they have a great big luxury house and they send their kids to private school. And I also know a lot of people who have moved into West Austin who are super artsy and they find their community of other artists in West Austin. Another thing I don't like about West Austin is how you have to wait forever to leave a gas station like this. God. They're doing a lot of road construction right now. Otherwise, it wouldn't be like this. But to me, the true dividing line between East and West Austin is lifestyle. If you want really easy access to music and a handcrafted cortado, then East Austin is for you. And if you want easy access to the lake and to great golf courses, West Austin is for you. But if you want to get a better lay of the land of the entire greater Austin area, check out our map tours playlist right here.